Stevie Wonder wasn't born blind. Here's the truth behind how he lost his sight.
But before we start, please take a moment to give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll never miss these great stories.
Stevie Wonder is an enormously important figure in the history of popular music. He is also one of the most preeminent people in the world with a disability. Over the years, he has forged a path to greatness that has made him an inspiration to the visually impaired. The story of how he lost his sight is a sad one, though, and it was all caused by a tragic mistake. A true icon, Wonder is one of the most successful music artists of all time. He has sold a mammoth 100 million records over the course of a career that has lasted more than 6 decades. In the 70s, known as his classic period, Wonder won the Album of the Year Grammy Award for 3 successive releases, an unprecedented achievement. Over the years, he has been dubbed by fans and industry experts alike as a genius. This is due, in no small part, to his ability to play virtually every instrument under the sun. Before he was 10 years old, he was proficient on the piano, harmonica, and drums. As he grew older, he also learned to play synthesizers, the bass guitar, bongos, and the clavinet, among others. On top of being one of the greatest pop stars that's ever lived, Wonder has also always been a champion for civil rights and social change. In 1980, his campaign to make Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a national holiday was a success. In 2009, the United Nations made him a messenger of peace, and in 2014 he was bestowed the Medal of Freedom by then-President Barack Obama. As an illustration of how respected Wonder is by other musicians, Elton John wrote glowingly about him for Rolling Stone magazine. The English rock icon wrote, "Let me put it this way. Wherever I go in the world, I always take a copy of Songs in the Key of Life. For me, it's the best album ever made, and I'm always left in awe after I listen to it." That's exceptionally high praise. When it comes to his disability, Wonder, born Stevland Hardaway Judkins, never let it hold him back from anything. In truth, being blind wasn't the only adversity he and his family faced in his childhood. According to his mother Lula Hardaway's biography, the family was poor, and her husband was an alcoholic who mistreated her. When Wonder was only 4 years old, Lula moved the family from Michigan to Detroit. It was here that the young boy grew into a musical prodigy who was discovered at age 11 by the Miracles' Ronnie White. He got the boy an audition for Motown Records head honcho Berry Gordy Jr., who instantly signed the child to a record deal. Judkins was given the stage name, Little Stevie Wonder. He released his first album at the age of only 12, which was entitled The Jazz Soul of Little Stevie Wonder, and it was followed by the live album Little Stevie Wonder the 12-Year-Old Genius. The rest of the 60s saw Wonder release several more well-received albums as a teenager. In the 70s, Wonder came of age and developed into an even bigger star during his classic period. Slate magazine analyzed this time, from 1971 to 1976, in a 2016 article. It wrote, "Most Americans follow up their 21st birthdays with a hangover. Stevie Wonder opted for arguably the greatest sustained run of creativity in the history of popular music. In that 5-year time span, Wonder released Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Innervisions, fulfilling this first finale and Songs in the Key of Life. This last album, in particular, was a seminal work in Wonder's career. The Slate article described it as a monumental work of American popular culture, and perhaps the most ambitious work ever made by a pop star at the height of his or her powers." On that double album, Wonder tackled a huge number of important topics in his lyrics. These included religion, love, betrayal, childhood, social inequality, and divorce. He would continue to do this in his career, always pushing the boundaries of what pop music could be about, while also pushing the instrumentation forward as well. Wonder has always been beautifully consistent in how he characterizes his disability. He doesn't see it as a negative thing and, in fact, believes it helps him access areas of his mind in ways sighted musicians can't. He first addressed this idea during a 1975 interview with the New York Times newspaper. Wonder was asked if his inability to see had played any part in the creation of his music. He responded, "It's played a part in that I'm able to use my imagination to go places, to write words about things I've heard people talk about. In music and in being blind, I'm able to associate what people say with what's inside me." Fast forward to 2010 and Wonder appeared on the TV show Larry King Live. He spoke about learning the piano as a young blind boy. He had begun playing the instrument at the age of 5. He said, "Obviously, sound was very important to me. So, when I was able to, to touch that thing, what's called a piano, I was curious about it." King then mentioned George Shearing, the legendary blind British jazz pianist, and revealed he once told him something profound. Shearing apparently said that, because he was born blind, he didn't consider it a handicap in his life, it was all he knew. Wonder revealed that he knew Shearing too and regarded him as a great man. In terms of Shearing's view on their disability, Wonder agreed. He said, "Yes, I mean, it's definitely more difficult for someone who has seen and then lost their sight. Still, as someone who had only ever known blindness, Wonder felt the disability didn't make it impossible for him to survive and, indeed, thrive." King also delved into where Wonder's creativity came from, as a man who had never seen. The veteran host asked, "When you write a song, where does it come from? I mean, you don't see colors. You don't see people. You don't know what a television set looks like. You feel a piano, but you've never seen a piano." The R&B superstar replied, "I honestly think if I were to, see a piano or to see someone or all the other things you mentioned, I think I'd be pretty close to where I imagine it to be. I think I've got a pretty good imagination. And I think that, we really feel before we see. We really hear before we see." The "Isn't She Lovely?" singer also addressed this topic when he spoke with TV talk show icon Oprah in 2004. Oprah inquired, "If you've never seen, can you miss it?" And Wonder gave a thoughtful reply, which delved into the notion of the experiences that come along with sight. He said, "I miss what's associated with seeing." Wonder continued, "I'd be lying if I said I don't miss being able to drive somewhere with my wife and kids alone or, back in the day, with my girl. But there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to work it out." Following this, Oprah became interested in finding out how Wonder even understood the concept of sight. "Because I'm living life, aware of what everyone else is doing," explained Wonder. "I have a vivid imagination." Then, with characteristic self-deprecating humor, he added, "And growing up, I was around people who weren't afraid to say, 'Man, why are you looking over there? What's wrong with you? I'm over here. You need to keep your head still.'" Talk then turned to how Wonder was treated by the people in his neighborhood while growing up. He admitted with a laugh that he wasn't necessarily noted for playing piano. He said, "I was known as the blind boy who was always making noise, beating on walls, hitting on boxes, singing, and playing the bongos from morning till sunset on the front porch. People were like, 'Give us a break.'" The signed, sealed, delivered, "I'm yours" icon then gave a fascinating insight into daily life as a blind person. He spoke of developing facial radar, which meant his ability to hear noises reverberating off objects in his vicinity. He explained, "If you close your eyes and put your hands right in front of your face, then move your hands, you can actually hear the sound of the air bouncing off your hands." Oprah asked whether everything had a sound, including walls, to which Wonder said, "Yes." He then elaborated with, "Everything has a sound in terms of its placement. In other words, there are many things in this room, and they make up how this room sounds, how dead or alive it is acoustically. If you took this desk out, the audio picture would be different." Inevitably, Wonder also broached the topic of his sight in a 2012 interview with British newspaper The Guardian. He was asked if he ever felt disadvantaged by being blind, or by being born a black person. Amazingly, he responded, "Do you know, it's funny, but I never thought of being blind as a disadvantage, and I never thought of being black as a disadvantage." The superstition singer continued, "I am what I am. I love me, and I don't mean that egotistically. I love that God has allowed me to take whatever it was that I had and to make something out of it." All in all, he felt blessed to have musical ideas come so freely to him. He believed, "The genius in me is God, it's the God in me coming out." When it comes to Wonder's sight, most people assume he was born blind. But that is not the case. In 1950, young Stevland was born 6 weeks early in Saginaw, Michigan, and was placed into an incubator for life support. By the time he was 6 weeks old, though, the newborn had lost the ability to see. Why? Well, it was actually a case of the doctors making a tragic mistake. A surplus of oxygen was pumped into the incubator, which caused abnormal blood vessels to grow in the tiny baby's eyes. These vessels then spread to the retina, which is the line of tissue at the back of the eye. They then hemorrhaged and damaged the retina, which caused it to detach from the eye. According to the National Eye Institute, this condition is known as retinopathy of prematurity. It generally affects premature babies who weigh up to just under 3 pounds. Unfortunately, it is one of the primary causes of blindness in children. The condition was first diagnosed in 1942, 8 years before Wonder came into the world. During his 2004 Oprah interview, she asked him how he became so enlightened and connected to the world despite not being able to see. She then asked if he had any memory of colors, to which he gave a fascinating answer. It would then lead to him speaking about the mistake that took his sight. When someone mentions a color, I associate it with my understanding of what that color is, revealed Wonder. I may have been able to see for a short time after I was born. Oprah picked up on this and asked, "Weren't you put in an incubator and given too much oxygen?" Wonder then confirmed that this was indeed how he lost his eyesight as a newborn. He said, "Right, I was premature. My doctor didn't know what's known now about the right amount of oxygen, so I was given too much, and an area of my eyes was destroyed." While it mightn't seem like it, Wonder revealed he'd actually had something of a lucky escape. "A girl who was born 1 minute before me actually died," said the Motown legend. She couldn't withstand that much oxygen. Amazingly, Wonder was adamant that he has never felt any ill will toward the doctor who had made such a catastrophic mistake. He has also never become bitter about how it robbed him of one of his senses. The singer said, "No. Once I went to Saginaw, Michigan, and visited the hospital where I was born. There was this big hoopla, they gave me a special award. I think people were scared I was planning to sue that doctor's ass. But he didn't have any intent to harm me." One story that has become Wonder folklore is that, as a child, he told his mother, "Don't worry about me being blind, because I'm happy." Oprah told him that she had read that somewhere and asked if it was true. The pop legend confirmed it for her, replying, "I said something like that." Wonder explained that he just hated seeing his mom upset over his condition and wanted her to know he was okay. He said, "It bothered me that my mother was crying all the time. She thought God might be punishing her for something. She lived during a time when things were particularly difficult for a woman in her circumstances." The musical icon loved his mom intensely and told Oprah about the biggest life lessons she instilled in her son. He said, "To persevere. To never be ashamed. To not let my past bury me." These mantras gave Wonder a sense of confidence in himself, no matter what obstacles were placed in front of him. "When I was a child, kids used to make fun of me because I was blind," admitted Wonder. "But I just became more curious. How can I climb this tree and get an apple for this girl? That's what mattered to me." The young blind boy wasn't about to let his disability get him down or define him. His mother taught him better than that. Wonder revealed that the way his mom chose to raise him helped him reject the idea that he was disabled. She let him make his own mistakes but was always there to help him if he needed it. He said, "She didn't bind me up. She wasn't like, 'Don't step there,' or 'Watch out, you'll fall.'